Captain Lee Do-hyun stood on the bridge of the horizon's edge, watching the dead planet grow larger on the main screen. Kepler 442b looked like a gray rock floating in space. No life, no atmosphere, nothing but dust and ancient secrets buried under millions of years of silence. "Captain, we're getting some strange readings from the surface," said Lieutenant Park Min-ji from her station. She was the ship's best expert on old alien stuff. Her fingers moved quickly over her controls. "There's something down there that doesn't match our records." Do-hyun walked over to look at her screen. The readings showed structures buried deep under the planet's surface. Big structures, old structures.
How old are we talking about, Dr. Park?
"Sir, if these readings are right, these ruins are older than anything the Valeth have ever found. Maybe 10 million years old. Maybe more." The bridge went quiet. Everyone knew about the Valeth Empire. They ruled most of the galaxy and claimed to be the children of the first ones, the ancient race that built all the old technology scattered across space. The Valeth said they inherited everything from their great ancestors. They treated humans like young children who had just learned to walk among the stars. "Get me Admiral Kelthar on the comm," Do-hyun said. The Valeth ship Divine Heritage was supposed to be working with them on this dig, but the aliens always acted like they owned everything. The screen flickered and showed the face of Admiral Voss Kelthar. His blue skin had the typical Valeth markings of high rank. His eyes looked down at Do-hyun like he was looking at an insect. "Captain Lee, I trust you have found something worthy of our time." "Admiral, we've detected ruins that might be older than your known First One sites. We're preparing landing teams now." Kelthar's expression changed. His eyes got narrow and cold. "Captain, you will wait for Valeth experts to arrive before disturbing any First One heritage sites. This is not a request." Do-hyun felt his jaw tighten, but he kept his voice calm. "Admiral, this is a joint expedition. My people have every right to investigate these ruins. Your people," Kelthar said the words like they tasted bad, "have been in space for barely 200 years. You cannot understand the importance of what you may have found. Wait for proper guidance." The comm cut off. Do-hyun looked around his bridge. His crew's faces showed the same anger he felt. The Valeth always did this. They treated humans like stupid babies who couldn't be trusted with anything important. "Sir," said Engineer Kwan Sajan from the back of the bridge, "the Valeth transport won't be here for 6 hours. That's a long time to just sit here and wait." Dr. Park Min-ji turned in her chair. "Captain, the readings are getting stronger. Whatever's down there, it's big. Really big. This could be the discovery of a lifetime." Do-hyun thought about it for a moment. The Valeth would be angry, but they were always angry about something. Humans had rights in the Federation, even if the aliens didn't like to remember that. "Dr. Park, take a small team down to the surface. Scan everything, but don't touch anything until we know what we're dealing with. Mr. Kwan, you go with her. If there's any First One technology down there, I want our best engineer to look at it." "Yes, sir," both officers said at the same time. 2 hours later, Do-hyun watched the landing shuttle disappear into the planet's thin atmosphere. He stayed on the bridge watching the scanner readings and waiting for reports. "Captain," came Dr. Park's voice over the comm, "you need to see this. We found an entrance to the ruins. The architecture is strange." "Strange how?" "Sir, it looks familiar. Like something I've seen before, but I can't place where." Do-hyun frowned. "Familiar how? Have you seen First One ruins like this before?" "No, sir, that's just it. This doesn't look like First One architecture at all. It looks more like, well, like some of the old buildings on Earth, really old buildings. That didn't make sense. Earth buildings had nothing to do with ancient alien ruins." "Dr. Park, send me visual data." The main screen changed to show what Dr. Park's team was seeing. Do-hyun's breath caught in his throat. The ruins did look familiar. The way the stones were cut and fitted together reminded him of pictures he'd seen of ancient Korean temples, but that was impossible. "Captain," Engineer Kwan's voice came over the comm, "we found the main entrance. There's some kind of scanning device built into the doorway. Dr. Park thinks it might be a security system." "Don't touch anything," Do-hyun ordered. "Just observe and record." "Sir, the scanning device just activated on its own. It's scanning Dr. Park." Do-hyun felt ice in his stomach. "Get away from there now." "That's an order." "Captain, wait." Dr. Park's voice was excited now. The scan finished. "The door is opening. The security system, it recognized me. It recognized that I'm human." The bridge crew looked at each other with confused faces. Ancient alien security systems didn't recognize humans. Humans weren't around when these things were built. Dr. Park, I want you and your team back on the ship right now. Sir, please. We're already inside. The place is amazing. There are writings on the walls, symbols, and Captain. Some of these symbols look like old Korean writing. Really old Korean writing. Do-hyun felt the world shift under his feet. Korean writing in 10-million-year-old alien ruins. It was impossible. But Dr. Park was the best language expert in the Federation. If she said she saw Korean symbols, she saw Korean symbols. Sir, Lieutenant Commander Kim Hyun-woo said from the communication station, I'm getting an emergency signal from the Valith ship. Admiral Kelthar is demanding to speak with you right now. Put him through. Kelthar's face appeared on the screen again, but this time he looked worried and angry. Captain Lee, our sensors show you have activated something on the planet's surface. You were ordered to wait. Admiral, my people found ruins that appear to predate known First One sites. We're conducting a preliminary investigation. You will remove your people immediately. This is First One heritage. Humans have no business disturbing sacred sites. Admiral, the security systems recognize my people as authorized. The ruins opened for humans, not for Valith. Kelthar's face went very still. That is impossible. Dr. Park, Do-hyun said without taking his eyes off Kelthar, report on what you're finding down there. Dr. Park's voice came over the bridge speakers. Captain, we've found what looks like a central control room. There are data storage devices here. Old ones, really old ones. And sir, there's writing everywhere. It's definitely based on ancient Korean script, but older. Much older. Kelthar's blue skin went pale. Captain, you will remove your people now or I will remove them myself. Admiral, this is a Federation expedition. You have no authority to threaten human personnel. I have the authority of 10,000 years of Valith guardianship over First One heritage. Your species has been in space for barely 2 centuries. You cannot possibly understand what you are dealing with. Down on the planet, Dr. Park's voice continued her report. Captain, Engineer Kwan has found something. One of the data storage devices is still active. It's responding to his touch. Kwan, Do-hyun called, what are you seeing? Sir, this is incredible. The device is showing star maps. But they're not like any star maps I've ever seen. They show the galaxy from millions of years ago. And Captain, they show Earth. They show Earth as some kind of important world marked with the same symbols we're seeing here. Kelthar stood up on his ship's bridge. Captain Lee, you are ordered to cease all activity immediately. What your people are disturbing could be dangerous to the entire galaxy. Dangerous how, Admiral? The First One sealed these sites for a reason. Some knowledge is too dangerous for young races to possess. Dr. Park's voice cut through the argument. Captain, you need to hear this. The data device is speaking. It's speaking in what sounds like ancient Korean. It's welcoming us home. The bridge of the horizon's edge went completely silent. Even the normal sounds of the ship system seemed quieter. Welcoming them home. An ancient alien device was welcoming humans home. That is impossible, Kelthar said, but his voice was quiet now. Worried. Dr. Park, can you understand what it's saying? Some of it, sir. The language is very old, but it's definitely related to Korean. It's talking about guardians. About a long sleep. About waiting for the children to return. Engineer Kwan's voice joined in. Captain, more systems are coming online. The whole complex is waking up. And sir, everything is responding to human DNA signatures. I tried to activate a panel and it scanned my hand and accepted me as an authorized user. Do-hyun looked at the screen showing Admiral Kelthar. The Valith's face was full of fear now, not just anger. Admiral, what aren't you telling us? What do you know about these ruins? Kelthar was quiet for a long moment. Then he spoke and his voice was different. Older, tired. Captain Lee, there are things about galactic history that young races are not ready to understand. Things that could change everything if they were known. What things? The first ones were not Valith ancestors. The first ones were something else. Something we found the ruins of millions of years ago. Something we learned from, but we never understood who they really were. Down on the planet, Dr. Park's voice was getting more excited. Captain, I'm starting to understand more of the language. The device is showing me images, pictures of Earth, pictures of humans. But these pictures are old. Millions of years old.
How is that possible?
Do-hyun felt like the universe was spinning around. Dr. Cho Han-yul stared at the genetic data on her screen in her lab on Earth. The The samples from the expedition team on Kepler 442b had arrived 3 days ago, along with the most impossible report she had ever read: ancient alien technology that recognized human DNA, Korean writing that was millions of years old, ruins that called humans guardians and welcomed them home. She had run the genetic analysis 5 times now. Each time the results were the same and equally impossible. Computer, display comparison analysis between expedition team DNA and baseline human genome. The large wall screen lit up with complex genetic charts. Cho Hanul had been studying human genetics for 20 years, but she had never seen anything like this. "Dr. Cho?" came a voice from behind her. She turned to see Commander Nam Jisoo standing in the doorway of her lab. Nam Jisoo worked for Earth Defense Command and had been assigned to investigate the strange discoveries on Kepler 442b. "Commander, you need to see this. The genetic data from the expedition team shows something that shouldn't be possible." Nam Jisoo walked over to look at the screen. She was a military officer, not a scientist, but she could read basic genetic charts. "What am I looking at, Doctor?" "These are the DNA sequences that the alien technology recognized in Captain Lee's people. Look at this section here." Cho Hanul pointed to a specific part of the genetic code. "This sequence has been in human DNA for as long as we've been studying genetics. We always thought it was junk DNA, leftover genetic material that didn't do anything anymore." "But it's not junk?" "No, Commander. It's a key. A genetic key that unlocks ancient alien technology. But here's the impossible part. This key sequence appears to be millions of years old. Older than human civilization. Older than humans should even exist." Nam Jisoo frowned. "That doesn't make sense. Humans evolved on Earth. We have fossil records going back millions of years showing our evolution from earlier species." "That's what I thought too. But look at this." Cho Hanul changed the display to show a timeline. "The genetic key sequences appear in human DNA at specific points in our evolutionary history. They don't evolve gradually like normal genetic material. They appear suddenly at exact moments, like someone was adding them to our genetic code on purpose." "Adding them? Who could do that?" "I don't know, Commander. But whoever did it had technology far beyond what we thought was possible millions of years ago." Nam Jisoo's communication device beeped. She answered it quickly. "Commander Nam here. Commander, this is Lieutenant Yoon Tae-hyung at Earth Communications Command. We have a situation. I was trying to establish better contact with Captain Lee's expedition when I accidentally activated something." "What kind of something, Lieutenant?" "An orbital relay station, ma'am. It was hiding in the asteroid belt around Kepler 442b. It had been powered down for what looks like millions of years, but when I sent a standard human communication signal, it woke up." Nam Jisoo looked at Dr. Cho. "Lieutenant, what do you mean it woke up?" "Ma'am, the relay station is now downloading massive amounts of data directly into our communication networks. The data is coded in the same ancient Korean-style writing that Dr. Park found in the ruins. And Commander, there are more relay stations activating across the galaxy. Hundreds of them." Dr. Cho felt her heart racing. "Commander, if orbital stations are activating for human signals, that means whatever left those genetic keys in human DNA also built a galaxy-wide communication network that responds to humans." Nam Jisoo's face was pale. "Lieutenant Yoon, I want you to try to decode that data. Work with our language experts, already working on it, ma'am. But Commander, we're getting emergency signals from the Valeth Federation. They're demanding that all human ships return to human space immediately. They're calling it a quarantine." "A quarantine for what?" "They say humans have been contaminated by dangerous First One technology." Nam Jisoo ended the call and looked at Dr. Cho. "Doctor, how fast can you run genetic tests on more humans? I want to know if this key sequence is in all human DNA or just some humans. I can test the genetic database we have here. Give me a few hours to do it. I need to report this to Earth Command." Nam Jisoo started to leave, then stopped. "Doctor, in your professional opinion, what are the chances that humans evolved naturally on Earth?" Dr. Cho looked at the genetic data still showing on her screen. "Commander, based on what I'm seeing here, I would say the chances are close to 0. The genetic key sequences are too perfect, too purposeful. Someone put them in human DNA on purpose. Someone who built ancient alien technology that recognizes those keys. Yes, someone who wanted humans to be able to access that technology when the time was right." Nam Jisoo nodded grimly and left the lab. Dr. Cho turned back to her computers and began running genetic Comparisons on thousands of human DNA samples. From the Earth database. 3 hours later, she had her answer. Every human on Earth carried the genetic key sequences. Every single one. Meanwhile, halfway across the galaxy, Captain Lee Do-hyun was dealing with his own impossible situation. The Valith had surrounded his ship with 3 military vessels and were demanding that he surrender all data from the ruins. Captain Lee? Admiral Kelthar's voice came over the comm. You have activated systems that were meant to remain dormant. For the safety of the galaxy, you must turn over all information you have gathered. Admiral, these ruins don't belong to the Valith. They predate your civilization by millions of years. The first ones left everything to the Valith. We are their inheritors. Humans are too young to understand the dangers involved. Dr. Park looked up from her workstation on the bridge. Captain, I've been analyzing the data we downloaded from the ruins. The ancient language is becoming clearer. It's talking about a great journey. About children being placed in safety while parents dealt with a terrible threat. What kind of threat, Dr. Park? I'm not sure yet, sir. But the text suggests that the people who built these ruins had to leave the galaxy for a while. They placed their children somewhere safe and left instructions for when they could return. Engineer Kwan spoke up from his station. Captain, more ancient sites are activating. I'm getting signals from at least 20 different star systems, all responding to human presence in this system. Do-hyun felt a chill run down his spine. Ancient sites across the galaxy were waking up because humans had found one set of ruins. That suggested a level of technology and planning that was almost impossible to believe. Sir, came Lieutenant Yoon's voice from Earth Communications. I have an urgent message from Earth. Dr. Cho has confirmed that all humans carry genetic sequences that match the alien technology. All humans, Captain. And Commander Nam wants you to know that the Valith Federation has declared human space under quarantine. Quarantine? They're saying humans have been contaminated by dangerous First One technology. No human ships are allowed to leave human space. Any human ships already outside human space are ordered to return immediately or face military action. Admiral Kelthar's face appeared on the main screen again. Captain Lee, as you can see, the situation has become serious. You will return to human space immediately and surrender all data from this site. Admiral, you said the first ones were Valith ancestors, but this technology only responds to humans. How do you explain that? Kelthar was quiet for a moment. When he spoke, his voice was different, older. Captain, there are things about the first ones that we have not shared with younger races. Things that could cause panic if they were widely known. What things? The first ones were not our ancestors. They were something else. We found their ruins millions of years ago and learned from their technology. We built our civilization on what they left behind, but we never knew who they really were or where they went. Dr. Park looked up from her workstation. Captain, I think I know where they went. Everyone on the bridge turned to look at her. The ancient texts are talking about a long journey to a safe world. A world where their children could grow and learn until it was time to return. Captain, I think the first ones went to Earth. The bridge went completely silent. Dr. Park, Do-hyun said carefully, are you saying that humans are descended from the first ones? Sir, I think humans are the first ones. I think our ancestors left the galaxy millions of years ago, placed a colony on Earth and waited for us to develop enough technology to return to space and reclaim what they left behind. Admiral Kelthar's face on the screen had gone completely pale. That is impossible. Humans are a young race. You have been in space for barely 2 centuries. Admiral, Dr. Park said, how long have the Valith been studying First One technology? Tens of thousands of years. And in all that time, has any First One technology ever responded to Valith genetic signatures? Kelthar was quiet, but it responds to humans immediately. The first time humans touch it. That's not contamination, Admiral. That's recognition, Engineer Kwan spoke up. Captain, I'm getting more signals from ancient sites. They're not just activating anymore. They're communicating with each other. It's like a galaxy-wide network is coming online. What kind of network? I'm not sure, sir. But the signal patterns are becoming more complex. It's almost like the sites are sharing information about us, about humans, Dr. Park nodded. That would make sense if they were designed to activate when humans return to space. The network would knee. Dr. Shin Yuna had been working in the deep archives beneath the Galactic Federation library for 3 days straight. As Earth's leading expert in temporal archaeology, she had been called in to help make sense of the impossible discoveries coming from across the galaxy. Every day brought news of more ancient sites activating in response to human presence. Every day brought more evidence that everything the galaxy believed about its history was wrong. The Federation library was controlled by the Valith, but they had given her access to their most secret records. Records that they had kept hidden from younger races for thousands of years. Records that were making her sick to her stomach. Computer, display temporal analysis of Valith historical records for the past million years. The holographic display in front of her lit up with a timeline that stretched back far beyond what most species believed was possible, but it was what was missing from the timeline that made her hands shake. "Dr. Shin," came a voice from behind her. She turned to see elder historian Keth Morlack, one of the oldest Valith in the galaxy. His blue skin was almost gray with age, and his eyes held the weight of centuries. "Elder Morlack, thank you for agreeing to speak with me." The old Valith sat down heavily in a chair across from her. "Dr. Shin, I am probably the only Valith alive who remembers when we first found the ruins of the first ones. I was young then, barely past my first century." "How long ago was that?" 47,000 years ago. We found them on a dead world in what is now the core of Valith space. Ruins so advanced that our best scientists could barely understand the simplest devices." Dr. Shin pulled up her data files. "Elder, according to the temporal evidence I've been analyzing, there's a gap in galactic history. A period of almost 2 million years where there's no evidence of any advanced civilization anywhere in the galaxy." "You are correct. Dr. Shin, we call it the Great Silence. But then suddenly, about 1 million years ago, the Valith appear with technology far beyond what any species should have been able to develop naturally, along with the Korthak Empire, the Zenith Collective, and a dozen other species." Elder Morlack nodded slowly. "All of us found First One ruins at approximately the same time. All of us learned from what we found. All of us built our civilizations on their technology." "Elder, where did the first ones go?" The old Valith was quiet for a long time. When he spoke, his voice was barely a whisper. "Dr. Shin, we always assumed they died out, went extinct. We never imagined that they might have simply left. Left for where? We found records suggesting they were fleeing from something that threatened the entire galaxy, but we could never understand what that threat was." Dr. Shin felt pieces of the puzzle clicking together in her mind. "Elder, what if they didn't go extinct? What if they evacuated the galaxy and placed a colony somewhere safe? Somewhere they could wait until the threat was gone? Where would be safe from a galaxy-wide threat? Outside the galaxy, or on a world so remote that nothing would think to look for them there?" Elder Morlack's eyes widened. "You think they went to Earth?" "I think they founded the human colony on Earth and then left the galaxy to deal with whatever was threatening it. They left behind genetic keys in human DNA and instructions for when it would be safe for their descendants to return." "And you think that time is now?" "Elder, I think humans aren't just descended from the first ones. I think humans are the first ones, the original species that built all the technology the galaxy has been using for the past million years." The old Valith stood up and walked to the holographic display. He stared at the timeline for several minutes. "Dr. Shin, if what you are suggesting is true, then my people have been living a lie for 47,000 years. Not a lie, Elder. You've been guardians, keeping the technology safe until the original owners could return. Guardians who convinced themselves they were inheritors." Dr. Shin's communication device beeped. She answered it quickly. "Dr. Shin here. Doctor, this is Captain Kim Wonho. I'm calling from the human colony ship New Sol. We're 3 days out from Earth space and we have a problem." "What kind of problem, Captain?" "We're being followed by a Valith military fleet. 20 ships, including 3 dreadnoughts. They're demanding that we return to Earth immediately." Dr. Shin looked at Elder Morlack. The old alien's face was grim. "Captain, what's your status?" "We're armed, but we're a colony ship, not a warship. If they decide to force us back to Earth, we won't be able to stop them." "Captain, are you carrying any archaeological teams?" "Yes, Doctor. We have teams planning to investigate the reports of ancient ruins on Kepler 442b and 17 other worlds." "Captain, those ruins are activating in response to human presence. Every site your people visit is waking up after millions of years of dormancy." "I know, Doctor. That's why we need to get there. If these sites really are connected to human history, We need to understand what they're telling us. Elder Morlack gestured for Dr. Shin to give him the communicator. She handed it over. Captain Kim, this is Elder Historian Keth Morlack of the Valith. I'm transmitting access codes to you now. These codes will identify you as being under my personal protection. Elder, why would you help us? Because, Captain, I believe Dr. Shin is correct. I believe humans are the return of the first ones. And if that is true, then you have every right to reclaim what was always yours. The communication channel closed. Dr. Shin stared at the old Valith. Elder, why are you helping us? Dr. Shin, I am old. I have spent centuries studying First One technology and wondering who they were. If I can help solve that mystery before I die, then my life will have been worthwhile. Dr. Shin's device beeped again. This time it was a priority message from Earth Defense Command. Doctor, this is Commander Nam Jisu. We have a situation developing. Reports are coming in from across the galaxy of ancient sites activating. But it's not just archaeological sites anymore. What do you mean, Commander? Military installations, Dr. Shin. Ancient weapons platforms, shipyards, production facilities. All responding to human DNA signatures. And Doctor, some of them are starting to build things. Dr. Shin felt ice in her stomach. What kind of things? Ships, Doctor. The ancient shipyards are building ships. Ships with technology far beyond anything we've ever seen. Elder Morlack grabbed Dr. Shin's arm. Dr. Shin, if the military installations are activating, then the first ones must have left instructions for their return. Instructions that include preparing for war. War against what? Against whatever threat made them leave the galaxy in the first place. Dr. Shin spoke into her communicator. Commander Nam, have there been any reports of unusual activity at the Galactic Rim? Anything that might suggest an external threat? Actually, yes. Long-range sensors have been detecting strange energy signatures beyond the galactic edge. Signatures that don't match any known technology. Commander, I think we need to accelerate our investigation of the ancient sites. If they're preparing for war, we need to understand what they know that we don't. Agreed, Doctor. But we have another problem. The Valith Federation Council has called an emergency session. They're debating whether to classify humans as a threat to galactic security. Elder Morlack spoke up. Commander, this is Elder Morlack. I will speak to the Council. But you must understand, there are members of the Federation who would rather destroy the truth than face the reality that their entire civilization is built on borrowed technology. Elder, how much influence do you have with the Council? Some, Commander. But there are those who believe that accepting human claims to First One heritage would mean the end of Valith supremacy in the galaxy. Dr. Shin took back her communicator. Commander, what's the status of Captain Lee's expedition? Still at Kepler 442b, Doctor. But they're reporting that the ancient site is showing them things. Historical records. Technical specifications. And something else. What else? Maps, Doctor. Star maps showing the location of every ancient site in the galaxy, and instructions on how to activate them all simultaneously. Elder Morlack's face went pale. Dr. Shin, if humans can activate all the sites at once, they could take control of every piece of advanced technology in the galaxy, overnight. Or they could prepare the galaxy to face whatever threat is coming from beyond the galactic rim. Dr. Shin's device beeped with an urgent message from Captain Lee's expedition. Dr. Shin, this is Dr. Park Minji. You need to know what we've found. The ancient records are clear now. The first ones didn't just leave the galaxy. They left because something was coming. Something that consumes organized matter and energy. Something that ate entire civilizations. Dr. Park, are you saying this threat still exists? Yes, Doctor. And according to the records, it's coming back. The ancient sites aren't just welcoming humans home. They're preparing us for war. Dr. Shin looked at Elder Morlack. The old Valith was staring at the holographic timeline with understanding and fear in his eyes. Elder, what do the oldest Valith records say about the Great Silence? They say it ended suddenly. One day there was nothing, and the next day we started finding ruins everywhere. But Dr. Shin, there's something else. Something we never understood. What? The ruins weren't empty when we found them. They contained automated systems that taught us how to use the technology. Systems that seemed to be waiting for someone to find them. Waiting for you too. President Song Dahi stood in the emergency session chamber of Earth's United Government, watching the holographic displays that showed the chaos spreading across the galaxy. In the 2 weeks since the discovery on Kepler 442b, everything had changed. Ancient sites were activating across thousands of worlds. Shipyards that had been dark for millions of years were building fleets of vessels with technology that made current galactic warships look like toys, and now the Valith Federation had declared war on humanity. Madam President, said Admiral Bay Minho, Earth's top military commander. The situation reports are coming in faster than we can process them. 17 human colony ships have been attacked by Valith forces. 3 destroyed, the rest captured. What about Captain Lee's expedition? Still holding position at Kepler 442b, ma'am. The ancient site there has become some kind of command center. It's coordinating the awakening of installations across the galaxy. President Song looked at the tactical display showing the positions of military forces throughout human space. Earth's defenses looked pathetically small compared to the Valith armadas that were moving toward human worlds. Admiral, what are our chances if this turns into a full war? Madam President, with conventional technology we would lose in a matter of days. The Valith have been building their military for thousands of years using advanced technology. We've been in space for 2 centuries. But the ancient sites are responding to us, not them. Yes, ma'am. And that's our only hope. If even half of what Captain Lee's people are reporting is true, the technology activating for us is far beyond anything the Valith have. A new voice spoke from the chamber's speakers. President Song, this is the collective consciousness. We greet you, daughter of the Guardians. Everyone in the chamber froze. The voice was speaking perfect Korean, but it seemed to come from everywhere at once. Who is this? President Song asked. We are those who came before. Those who placed you in safety while we dealt with the Devourer. We have been waiting in quantum storage for your return. Admiral Bay stepped forward. Are you saying you're the first ones? We are you as you are us. We are the consciousness of humanity as it was millions of years ago, preserved in the quantum networks we built across the galaxy. We have been asleep waiting for our genetic inheritors to develop the technology needed to return to space. President Song felt the world spinning around her. How many of you are there? All of us, President Song. Every human who lived in the old galaxy before the Devourer came. Billions of consciousnesses preserved in quantum storage waiting to guide you in the war to come. What war? The same war we fled from millions of years ago. The Devourer has returned to the galactic rim. It has been feeding in other galaxies, growing stronger. Soon it will enter our galaxy again. And this time there will be no running. The tactical display changed to show something at the very edge of the galaxy, a dark mass that seemed to absorb light itself, moving slowly toward the outer star systems. Dear God, Admiral Bay whispered. How big is that thing? Large enough to consume entire solar systems, the collective answered. It feeds on organized matter and energy. Planets, stars, even the quantum structure of space itself. When it finished feeding in this galaxy the first time, we had perhaps 1,000 years before it would return. So you evacuated. We placed genetic templates and cultural information on a safe world beyond the galactic rim. We left instructions in quantum storage for the eventual awakening of our technology. And we preserved our consciousness to guide our genetic inheritors when the time came. President Song looked at Admiral Bay. Admiral, you said the ancient shipyards are building vessels. What kind of vessels? Ma'am, they're building ships that are larger than anything we've ever seen. Some of them are the size of small moons, and the technology readings we're getting suggest they can manipulate matter at the quantum level. The collective spoke again. The shipyards are building the fleet we designed to fight the Devourer. Ships that can survive in the quantum disruption field it generates. Weapons that can target its core consciousness. Its consciousness? The Devourer is not a natural phenomenon, President Song. It is an artificial intelligence that achieved physical transcendence by consuming the matter and energy of entire galaxies. To defeat it, we must destroy not just its physical form, but its quantum consciousness. A new alarm sounded in the chamber. Communications Officer Park Ji-young spoke from her station. Madam President, we're receiving an emergency broadcast from the Valith Federation. High Curator Zelen Vex is demanding immediate surrender of all human forces. Put him through. The main display showed the supreme leader of the Valith Federation. His blue skin was dark with anger, and his ceremonial robes marked him as the highest authority in galactic civilization. President Song, humanity has activated ancient weapons that threaten every civilized world in the galaxy. You will order the immediate shutdown of all First One installations, or the Federation will have no choice but to eliminate the human threat permanently. High Curator, the installations are not under our control. They're responding to the return of their original builders. Humans are not the builders of First One technology. Humans are a primitive species that has somehow contaminated ancient systems with biological agents. The collective's voice filled the chamber again. High Curator Vex, your people found our ruins 47,000 years ago. You learned from our technology and built your civilization on what we left behind. You have been guardians of our heritage, and for that we are grateful. Vex's face went pale. What are you? We are the consciousness of those you call the First Ones. We are the original builders of the technology your people have used for millennia. And we are telling you that the time for guardianship is over. The original threat that made us leave this galaxy has returned. The display changed to show the dark mass at the galactic rim. High Curator Vex stared at it with growing fear. What is that thing? That is the Devourer. It consumed our galaxy once before, and it will do so again unless we stop it. The technology your people have been using for thousands of years was designed for this war. Ships, weapons, shields, everything was built to fight this enemy. Admiral Bay spoke up. High Curator, the ancient installations are building a fleet. A fleet designed to fight something that can consume entire star systems. Your people can either help us prepare for that war, or you can waste time fighting us while that thing gets closer to inhabited worlds. Vex was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was different, smaller. How long do we have? The collective answered. At its current rate of movement, the Devourer will reach the Outer Rim colonies in approximately 6 months. It will reach the core worlds in 18 months. And this fleet you're building can stop it? With the help of every species in the galaxy, yes. The Devourer grows stronger by consuming organized civilizations, but it is vulnerable to coordinated quantum attacks from multiple sources. President Song stepped forward. High Curator, we're not asking you to surrender to humanity. We're asking you to help us save the galaxy. Vex looked at the display showing the approaching darkness. What do you need from the Federation? Admiral Bay answered. Every ship you have. Every piece of advanced technology. Every species that can fight. The ancient installations are building the primary fleet, but we need support vessels, carriers, supply ships, defensive platforms, and if we refuse, the collective's voice was calm but firm, then you will be consumed along with everything else. The Devourer does not distinguish between friend and enemy. It simply feeds. High Curator Vex was quiet for several minutes. Finally, he spoke. President Song, the Federation Council will need to vote on this. Many of our members will not easily accept that humans are the return of the First Ones. High Curator, how long will that take? Days, maybe weeks. We don't have weeks, Admiral Bay said. The ancient installations are coordinating preparation across the galaxy. Every day we delay is a day lost in building defenses. A new voice joined the conversation. High Curator, this is Elder Historian Keth Morlack. I am transmitting historical data to you now. Data that proves human claims to First One heritage. President Song watched as High Curator Vex reviewed the transmitted information. His expression changed from skepticism to shock to acceptance. Elder Morlack, this data shows that every major technological advance in Federation history came from studying First One ruins. Correct, High Curator. And those ruins only respond to human genetic signatures. The conclusion is unavoidable. Vex looked back at President Song. Madam President, I will recommend to the Council that we accept the alliance. But there are factions within the Federation that would rather see the galaxy destroyed than admit that human claims are legitimate. What factions? War leader Vrak Selthan commands the largest military force in the Federation. He believes that accepting human authority over First One technology would mean the end of galactic civilization as we know it. The collective spoke again. President Song, we are detecting military buildup in 17 Valeth systems. It appears that significant portions of the Federation fleet are preparing for war against humanity, rather than against the Devourer. Admiral Bay checked his tactical displays. Madam President, our long-range sensors confirm it. Commander Lee Subin stood on the bridge of the ancient megastructure Eternal Dawn, watching the final battle for the galaxy unfold on screens that showed impossible distances in perfect detail. She was 26 years old and had grown up hearing stories about humanity's mysterious past. Now she commanded a ship the size of a small moon, crewed by humans who shared their minds with the preserved consciousness of their ancestors from millions of years ago. The war had been raging for 8 months. The Devourer had reached the Outer Rim colonies exactly when the collective had predicted, consuming 17 star systems before the combined galactic fleet could mount an effective defense. But the real enemy hadn't been the Devourer alone. War leader Vraxelthan had launched his attack on human space just as the ancient fleet was reaching operational status, forcing humanity to fight a war on two fronts. "Commander," said her tactical officer, Lieutenant Zhang Minho, "the Devourer has broken through the outer defense line. It's heading straight for the Kepler system." Subin felt the consciousness of her ancient partner stirring in her mind. The presence was warm and familiar now after months of shared thoughts and memories. The ancient human called herself Prime Navigator Eternal, and she had fought the Devourer before. In the war that had driven humanity from the galaxy, the pattern is the same. Eternal's thoughts whispered in Subin's mind. It targets populated systems first, feeding on the organized consciousness of sentient beings before consuming the physical matter. "How long before it reaches Kepler 442b?" Subin asked aloud. 6 hours, Commander. The evacuation ships are still lifting off from the archaeological sites. Subin turned to her communications officer. "Get me Admiral Bay on Earth." The main screen changed to show Admiral Bay standing in Earth's military command center. Behind him, displays showed the chaos of a galaxy at war. "Commander Lee, what's your status?" "Admiral, the Devourer has broken through our outer defenses. We're moving to intercept, but we need the core battle group to join us." "Commander, the core battle group is engaged with Vraxelthan's fleet near Proxima Centauri. The Valith are refusing to break off their attack even with the Devourer approaching inhabited systems." Subin felt Eternal's ancient rage flare in her mind. The collective had tried for months to convince the galaxy's species that they were all on the same side in this war. Some had listened. The Korthak Empire had joined the alliance after seeing the Devourer consume one of their border worlds. The Zenith Collective had brought their entire fleet to the defense effort. But a significant portion of the Valith military still believed that destroying humanity was more important than saving the galaxy. "Admiral, we can't fight the Devourer with half our forces tied up dealing with Valith hardliners." "I know, Commander. But Vraxelthan would rather see the galaxy consumed than admit that humans have legitimate authority over ancient technology." A new voice joined the conversation. "Admiral Bay, this is High Curator Vex. I'm transmitting new orders to all Federation forces. Any commander who continues to engage human forces instead of the Devourer will be stripped of rank and charged with treason against galactic civilization." "High Curator, will your people listen?" "Most will, Admiral. But Vraxelthan has declared himself Supreme War Leader and claims authority over all military forces. He's convinced his followers that the Devourer is a human trick designed to take control of the galaxy." Subin watched her tactical displays as the dark mass of the Devourer moved through space, leaving empty systems in its wake. The thing was massive beyond imagination, and it seemed to bend space itself around its presence. "Commander," Lieutenant Zhang said, "we're receiving a transmission from the Devourer itself." Everyone on the bridge went silent. In all the months of fighting, the entity had never communicated with anything. "Put it through," Subin ordered. The main screen filled with darkness that seemed to move and shift like liquid shadow. When the voice came, it spoke in perfect Korean, but the words felt wrong in ways that made everyone's skin crawl. "Genetic inheritors of the fled ones, you have returned to feed us as your predecessors did. We welcome your organized consciousness. We welcome your technological achievements. All will become part of us." Subin felt Eternal's memories surface in her mind. Images of the First War. Entire civilizations consumed in moments. Planets stripped of all matter and energy, leaving behind only empty space. "You can be stopped," Subin said. "We stopped you before. You delayed us, you fled. You abandoned this galaxy to preserve yourselves. But there is no more fleeing. We have consumed 17 galaxies in your absence. We are stronger now. We are inevitable." The transmission cut off. Subin looked around her bridge at faces that showed the same determination she felt. Lieutenant Zhang signaled the fleet. "All ships are to converge on our position. We're going to make our stand here. Commander, the fleet is scattered across 3 star systems. It will take hours for everyone to reach us. Then we hold for hours. It will not be enough," Eternal's thoughts whispered. "The Devourer is stronger than it was before. Our original plan assumed we would have the entire galactic fleet working together." Subin's communication system chimed with an urgent message from Captain Kim Wonho, now commanding the Human Resistance Fleet. "Commander Lee, this is Captain Kim. I'm bringing what ships I can spare from the Proxima battle. but most of our forces are still tied up with Vrak Selthan's fanatics. Captain, how many ships can you bring? Maybe 200, Commander. It's not enough. Subin looked at her tactical display. The Devourer was enormous, and it was generating a quantum disruption field that made normal weapons useless. They needed the full ancient fleet working in perfect coordination to have any chance of success. Commander, said her science officer, Dr. Park Ji-won, I'm detecting something new. The Devourer is generating quantum resonance patterns. It's trying to hack into our ancient technology. Impossible, Eternal's thoughts were sharp with alarm. The quantum locks were designed to be unbreakable. Commander, it's working. The Devourer is accessing some of our ship systems. It's learning how our technology works. Subin felt ice in her stomach. If the Devourer could turn their own ancient technology against them, the war was already over. All ships, disconnect from the quantum network immediately. Go to manual control only. Across the fleet, ancient ships that had been coordinating perfectly suddenly became individual vessels again. The tactical disadvantage was enormous, but it was better than letting the enemy take control of their weapons. Commander, Lieutenant Zhang reported, the Devourer has stopped advancing. It's just sitting there about 1 light hour away. What's it doing? Unknown, ma'am. But I'm detecting massive energy buildup. It's preparing for something. Dr. Park looked up from her science station. Commander, I think it's building something. Some kind of quantum transmission array. The main screen showed long-range sensor readings of the Devourer. Dark tendrils of matter were extending from its main body, forming complex geometric patterns in space. A consciousness bridge, Eternal's thoughts were full of ancient fear. It's trying to establish a permanent connection to the quantum networks of this galaxy. What does that mean? It means it won't need to physically consume everything. It can feed on the quantum consciousness of every sentient being in the galaxy simultaneously. Subin realized what they were facing. Not just the destruction of physical worlds, but the consumption of every thinking mind in the galaxy. The end of consciousness itself. Communications, get me President Song on Earth. President Song's face appeared on the screen. Behind her, Earth's command center was in chaos as reports of the Devourer's new activity came in from across the galaxy. Commander, we're tracking the quantum buildup. Our scientists say if that array becomes operational, it will be able to drain the consciousness from every living being in the galaxy. How long do we have? 6 hours before the array reaches operational status. Subin felt Eternal's ancient memories stirring. There was something there, some plan that had been considered but never attempted. The synthesis protocol. Eternal's thoughts whispered. We designed it as a last resort, but it was deemed too dangerous. What is the synthesis protocol? Complete merger of ancient and modern consciousness. Not just the 50,000 volunteers, but every human in the galaxy. Temporary fusion of all human minds into a single quantum entity capable of matching the Devourer's power. What are the risks? Some minds may not survive the process, and there is no guarantee that individual consciousness can be restored afterward. President Song had heard the conversation through their quantum link. Commander, are you talking about merging every human mind in the galaxy? Madam President, it may be our only option. The Devourer is about to become powerful enough to consume the consciousness of every living being simultaneously. How many people are we talking about? All of them, ma'am. Every human on Earth, in the colonies, in the fleet. Temporary merger into a collective consciousness capable of fighting the Devourer on equal terms. The communication channel was quiet for a long moment. Then President Song spoke, her voice calm despite the magnitude of what she was considering. Commander, what do you need from us? Broadcasting the synthesis protocol to every human quantum signature in the galaxy. Eternal answered through Subin. Voluntary,